Hey guys, Mr. Burns here with your video for lesson 2.3, rates and unit rates. By the end of this video, I want you guys to be able to use equivalent rates to solve problems. So a rate is a comparison of two numbers with different units. For example, Deidre's Donut Shop charges $6 for 12 donuts. A unit rate is a rate that can be written as a fraction with a denominator of 1. Unit rates can also be written as a single number using the word per. So in the example off there to the right, next to the picture of the donuts, you've got $6 for a dozen. So that's this right here. All right. And then in the middle, you got 50 cents per donut. And then at the end there, you got 50 cents per donut. So the last two examples, like it says, those are unit rates. And this one, on the far left, is just a rate. Unit rates can be found by creating an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 1. So for example number 1, it says find each unit rate. So you have part A and part B. In part A, you've got 50 miles in 2 hours. And for part B, you've got $2.40 for 3 candy bars. So make sure you guys pause the video, read the solutions, okay, and look at the work that they show, and hopefully this will make sense to you. Moving on. On the top here, it says a double number line can be used to model rates and unit rates. For example, if Ed runs at a rate of 7 miles per hour, the double number line can show this unit rate and the rates equivalent to it. So on the double number line, okay, so on the double number line, the numbers on the top represent the number of miles, and the numbers on the bottom represent the number of hours. But 7 to 1, okay, that is my unit rate. So as you're looking at the double number line here, the numbers on the top, the miles, those increase by 7 every time. So 7 plus 7 is 14, 14 plus 7 is 21, 21 plus 7 is 28, and so on. On the bottom, the number of miles increases by 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, and so on. So an example here with a circle, it says an equivalent rate would be, okay, 42 miles in 6 hours. What is that equivalent to? It is equivalent to 7 miles per 1 hour. In example number 2, it says Liam is making dinner rolls for a family gathering. He used 12 cups of flour to make 4 batches. Construct a double number line for the situation. How many cups of flour are needed for 7 batches of rolls? So what they're doing is they're starting off with what they know to find the unit rate. Okay, so this is what the problem gives you, and this is the unit rate that he calculated. At this point, he starts off with a double number line, okay, and with the batches being on the bottom number line and the cups of flour being on the top number line. And then you'll notice, okay, they increase by the same amount all the time, every time. So by using the double number line, he figures out that 7 batches lines up with 21 cups, okay, of flour. Did I say sugar? I meant flour. And then, so therefore, Liam will need 21 cups of flour to make 7 batches of rolls. Another way to solve rate problems is by using unit rates and multiplication. Me personally, I am more comfortable with multiplication just because it saves time. But if the double number line, if that makes sense to you, you can also use a double number line as well. On example number 3, it says Nigel paid $3.60 for 30 copies of his flyer. Use a unit rate and multiplication to determine the cost to make 80 copies of his flyer. So for the solution, it says write the rate as a fraction. Usually, money is going to go on the top, and then whatever the other unit is, okay, it's going to go in the denominator. So what they're doing here is they're converting to a unit rate by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 30, which gives me a unit rate of 12 cents for 1 copy. And then what you do is you take the unit rate, okay, which is 12 cents per copy, and you multiply the cost per copy by the number of copies that you need. So you take 12 cents, multiply it by 80, and that'll give you how much it's going to cost to make 80 copies at 12 cents per copy. So Nigel's going to pay $9.60 to make 80 copies of his flyer. All right, let's jump into the tiered worksheets. All right, so up here at the top, for numbers at least 1 through 4, it tells us to find each unit rate. So remember, to find the unit rate, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the number in the denominator. So number 1, we've got 12 miles in 2 hours, and we want to find its unit rate by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we get 1 hour. And then 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we get 6 miles in an hour. For number 2, okay, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, because we've got 15 ounces for 3 servings. And if we want to find out how many ounces there are for 1 serving, we're going to divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5 ounces, okay, for 1 serving. For number 3, we've got 99 words for 3 minutes. To find the unit rate, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, because that's the number in the denominator. So 99 divided by 3 is 33. So 33 words in 3 divided by 3, that's 1 minute. All right, number 4, we've got 21 feet and 3 seconds. Let's go ahead and divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3. So 21 feet divided by 3 is 7 feet. And then 3 divided by 3 is 1 second. So we've got 7 feet in 1 second. SEC. All right, number 5. Carlos spent $3.75 on 3 cans of tuna. Find the price per can of tuna. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So it's $3.75 for 3 cans of tuna. We're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, because that's the number in the denominator. And $3.75 divided by 3 is $1.25. So it's $1.25 per 1 can, or per can of tuna. Number 6, it says Pam used 10 gallons of gas to drive 200 miles, okay, on the trip. How many miles per gallon did Pam's car get on the trip? So in situations like this, the first term that comes, the first unit that comes up is miles. So it's going to be 200 miles per gallon, so 10 gallons. To convert this to a unit rate, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 10. So 200 divided by 10 is 20. So it's going to be 20 miles per 1 gallon, because 10 divided by 10 is 1, so 1 gallon. That's it. Make sure that looks like a 1, huh? So 1 gallon. Okay, so it says, which of these rates are equivalent to 10 miles in 10 hours? Circle all that apply. So the first thing I'm going to do, since we're dealing with rates and unit rates, I'm going to convert this to its unit rate. So I'm going to go 100 miles over 10 hours. I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10, so we get 10 miles per 1 hour. Do we see 10 miles per hour here? Yes, we do. That is A. So now that we've got a unit rate, okay, we're kind of going to revisit what we did in the previous lesson. So we're going to look for equivalent fractions. So if I go 10 miles in 1 hour, so for B, what do I multiply 10 by to get 50? That's 5. So 10 minus 5, okay, is 50 miles. But remember, what we do to the top, we do to the bottom. So 1 times 5, and 1 times 5 is 5. So is B a possible answer? Nope, it is not. Okay. Okay, let's see about C. So what do I multiply 10 by to get 200? Well, I would multiply that by 20. So 10 times 20 is 200 miles. So far, so good. Over, and then 1 times 20, because whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So 20 hours. So it's 200 miles. So it's 200 miles over 20 hours. So is C a possible answer? Yes, it is. Okay, so C is a possible answer. Now let's take a look at D. Okay, so for D, what do I do here? What do I multiply 10 by to get 400? That's 40. So 10 times 40 is 400. So 400 miles over, and then whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. And then 1 times 40 is 40 hours. So 400 miles in 40 hours, is that the same as 400 miles over 10 hours? No, it is not. So D is not a possible answer. So my only possible answers are A and C. Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 8 and 9. On 8 and 9, it says complete the equivalent rate. So 4 miles over 1 hour is equal to blank miles over 6 hours. So what do we multiply 1 by to get 6? We multiplied it by 6. And whatever we multiply to the bottom, we multiply to the top. So 4 times 6, that's 24. So we got 24 miles and 6 gallons. So with number 9, okay, so we've got 20 miles over 1 gallon is equal to 80 miles over how many gallons? So what do we multiply 20 by to get 80? That's 4. And whatever we multiply to the top, we multiply to the bottom. And 1 times 4 is 4. So we've got 80 miles using 4 gallons. All right, let's move on to the back page. Okay, so on number 10 says Sue drove 120 miles in 3 hours. At this rate, how far will she drive in 6 hours? Part A says, write the rate 120 miles in 3 hours as a fraction. So here we go, 120 miles over 3 hours. That's all you got to do. Now, what they're asking us to do, so we wrote the rate, and then what we're going to do is go ahead and convert it to a unit rate. Okay, so we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3. So 120 divided by 3 is 40. So it's going to be 40 miles over 3 divided by 3, which is 1, so 1 hour. So for part B, it says put the fraction from part A equal to the fraction below. So it's going to be 40 miles in 1 hour. And then for part C, it says solve for the missing number of miles and answer the question. So we're going to take the what we wrote in part B and move it down to part C and solve it. So we've got 40 miles over 1 hour, and that's equal to 6 hours over I don't know how many miles. So 1 times what is 6? That is 6. And whatever I multiplied to the denominator, I multiplied to the numerator. And then 40 times 6 is 240 miles. And that's what I'm looking for. On number 11, it says Latrell's new car went 300 miles and used 10 gallons of gas. At this rate, how many miles can he travel using 4 gallons of gas? Okay, so for part A, it says write 300 miles using 10 gallons of gas as a fraction and find its unit rate. So we've got 300 miles over 10 gallons. To find the unit rate, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 10. Okay, 300 divided by 10 is 30 miles. And then 10 divided by 10 is 1. So 1 gallon. That's great gas mileage. For part B, it says use this unit rate to find how many gallons or how many miles Latrell can travel using 4 gallons of gas. So here we go. So we're going to go 30 miles over 1 gallon. And we're going to write an equivalent fraction because they want to know how many miles we can travel on 4 gallons of gas. So what do I multiply 1 by to get 4? That's 4. And whatever I multiply to the denominator, I multiply it to the numerator. So 30 times 4 is 120. So it's 120 miles, okay, on 4 gallons of gas. Again, really good gas mileage. All right, number 12. On number 12, it says Uma bought 5 pounds of grapes for $11. How much would she have paid if she only bought 2 pounds of grapes? So here we go. So in situations where involving money, money usually goes on the top. So it's $11 for 5 pounds. To find the unit rate, we're going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 5. So 11 divided by 5, I believe, is $2.20 per 5 divided by 5. That's 1 pound. So 1 pound of grapes. It's pretty expensive grapes. So now that we've got that unit rate, we're going to go $2.20 over 1 pound. And we want to know how much it's going to cost us, okay, for 2 pounds, okay, of grapes. So 1 times what is 2? That's 2. And then 220 times 2. So $2.20 times 2 is $4.40. Oops. $4.40 for 2 pounds of grapes. Alrighty, you guys know what to do. If you need any help, ask your teacher. And if you need to, you can come and ask me. That's all I got. Mr. Burns, out.